This is Mortgage Lending Mastery. Get the knowledge you need from America's mortgage mentor with more than 35 years of experience and over $1 billion in lifetime fundings. You'll learn to advance your mortgage practice quickly and efficiently. Also, be sure to check out Jen's book, Launch: How to Take Your Business to New Heights, available on Amazon. For a signed copy, contact Jen at jenduplessis.com. Now, here is certified mortgage planner and CEO of Kinetic Spark Consulting, Jen Duplessis.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Mortgage Lending Mastery. I'm your host, Jen Duplessis. I am so excited to have you here with us today. And I want to say, if you are listening to us for the first time, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. I think that you're going to find that what we're going to talk about today is going to make you want to come back and listen to all the episodes that we have. And as usual, if you've been listening to us for years and years, thank you so much for your patronage. We really appreciate it. Now, listen, reminder, please subscribe to this podcast. And don't forget to write a review. You have to do both. Yeah? Subscribe, write a review, and give us a 5-star rating. We would love to hear what you have to say about our podcast, and it helps us continue to grow. So without further ado, let me introduce you to today's guest. Heath Barnes is a branch manager with Cardinal Financial Services. And is it financial? It's financial company, Cardinal Financial Company.
Yeah,
and,
right.
Out of Texas. And I wanted to have him come on here today because he is a top producer, and we want to get sort of his secrets, right? What's your secret sauce? How did you get where you to this point, and what did it take to get there? We'll have plenty of time to talk about that. So I know you've done over $75 million in production, 5 years in a row. I mean, that's wonderful, great production. And the people that are listening in are dying to hear about how this all happened. So I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you, Jen. I'm happy to be here. I really appreciate the invite. And I just hope what I have to say is someone can grab one or two nuggets that might improve their life a little bit and their business. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I promise you that's going to happen, because there hasn't been a guest that we've had on here that hasn't been able to give someone a nugget. So the challenge is giving so many nuggets that everyone says, oh my gosh, I have to do it all. So I want to remind everybody, please take notes, rewind, listen to this again, and, take one or two of these nuggets and put them into action. So without further ado, so Heath, where I want to start is tell us how you got in the business. Give us a little detail about how you got in the business some time ago.
Yes, absolutely, Jen. So it was 2002, and it's similar time as far as interest rates, where everyone was refinancing.
Yep.
And I was actually in the car business, and I was engaged to be married. It was in October of 2002, and I was engaged to be married. And at the time, my fiance told me if I didn't get out of the car business, she wasn't going to marry me. And
that was because you were working long hours on weekends?
I was working 6 days a week, and she didn't feel like it would be conducive for a great marriage.
Okay.
Finance in the car business.
Right.
And I had a friend of mine that actually had a mortgage company, and went and talked to him, and he was putting an ad in our local paper, and they were doing refinances. And so I went from making $10,000 a month to making $2,000 a month. As everyone knows, the first year or two in the mortgage business can be the toughest. And 2 months later, she told me she didn't love me anymore, and she was not going to marry me.
Oh, so wow.
Brand new job in the mortgage business, not making any money. And, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, us not getting married, for a couple of reasons. Number one, she led me into the mortgage business, but she also gave me a couple other gifts. The one I still use to this day, that we can talk about later, is the gift of questions. And I had tried to figure out all of my life why I struggled so much with connecting with people. And I was raised in an environment where questions just weren't part of our environment. My parents had very difficult backgrounds, and so they didn't want people asking them questions. And so what did they naturally do? They didn't ask other people questions.
Right.
That was in 2002. And I struggled for about 6 months in the business. And as everybody knows, early in the business, you do struggle a little bit. But after about 6 months, I actually got a crazy idea that I would start my own mortgage company. So I went to work for another company. At the time, you could do, you could do a loan and pay a company $500 or a net branch. And
Yep.
so,
Yeah.
that
No
was the
licensing,
beginning.
nothing. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Right. And so I was actually operating out of my house, originating loans. And I did the same thing my boss was doing, which is putting an ad in the paper and letting the phone ring.
Yeah.
And so for the next 5 or 6 years, I was literally originating loans, growing my branch. And this is a valuable lesson. I didn't want anyone to tell me what to do. And most of us get in the mortgage business because why? We don't want a boss.
Yeah. Don't want a boss, want the freedom. Sky's the limit for making money. All of those. Yeah.
Yes. And, but the true gift that I finally learned after about 7 or 8 years of being in the business and going through 2008 is if you really want to be great at anything, you got to hire a coach.
Yeah.
You got to find someone that knows the business that can tell you where you're doing things wrong. And so if you want one takeaway, it's this: have a coach in your life the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So that someone else can show you the way. Someone else can say, okay, this is what you need to do in order to originate a lot of loans, in order to grow a team, in order to have the right mindset, in order to have the skills you need to get where you want in life. So so I struggled for, 7 or 8 years. And I say struggled, I originated a lot of loans, but I was a little crazy, meaning I didn't have very much life balance. So that's how I got in the business. And then in 2009 really changed for me. I actually joined the core training, and I did that for 10 years until I finally realized that that's probably not the most healthy atmosphere. Although I learned a lot of good techniques in the mortgage business, I didn't feel like it was, I feel like I had grown past that. I left about 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, and you and I were talking about that before we went on the broadcast here, is just that, over time, your need for different coaches really evolves, as we were talking about, the fact that I have 5 or 6 or 7 coaches right now. I don't even know how many I have right now. But, I feel that, they're my guiding light. Every one of them are a guiding light for me in a different aspect, right? And I think that that's really powerful for you. And I think that, you needed the core when you needed the core. Now, you've progressed onto something else. So good for you.
Right.
Good for you.
Yeah, it was just, at the time I needed someone to kind of tell me, it's funny. I went from not wanting anyone to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
To being so miserable in the business, thinking that if I made a lot of money, I would be happy.
Yes.
And what I realized is making a lot of money does not equate to happiness.
No way.
So I never forget, I joined the core thinking, okay, I'm just going to do what they tell me.
Yeah.
And so what happens in life is when you start doing something and you start becoming successful at it, you become attached to it. And you say, I can't detach myself from it because I won't be successful.
Right.
And
fear of missing out. Yeah.
So I actually was in the core for about three years, and then became a coach with them. And I was a coach for 5 years before I stepped down as a coach. And because I couldn't detach from that, I couldn't be successful in not being in the core. So anyways, I finally made that detachment and being coached. And
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I love that you talked about, I call it curiosity. Every year I have a theme word, right, that drives my business. And several years ago, I didn't have an actual theme word. I had a word that it was sort of a phrase that says, I'm not going to be a yes woman, right? I'm going to start telling people no. And that's really where I developed the concept of working with people in a sense, that I work with people that compliment me, don't complicate me, right? And so I started saying, okay, don't be a yes woman. Only focus on people that compliment and not complicate. And then the following year, my word was curiosity. And it stemmed from I was trying to figure out a brand, right? And I had a brand, but I was still kind of fine tuning a few things. And so I did this crazy big thing that it's scary to send an email to the people that you work with and people that know you and say, if you could say, 3 words about me, what would they be? If you could just, not sentences, just 3 words, right? And, of course, everybody was nice and they said, oh, you're this and you're that. And it was great until one came in, and I wanted everyone to be truthful. And thank goodness I had someone in my life who was truthful. And his word was not present, not present. And so while I was out skipping stones, across the lake, get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, as many of us do in this business, right? I said, whoa, hey, hold on, halt. And he said, you're so wonderful at, producing all this stuff, and you're great at everything. He goes, but whenever you're with everybody, you're just running around like a little bee trying to get pollen from everybody at an event. And I'd rather see you sit and talk with 3 people and have the other people watch you talk and spend time with 3 people than you going around and just superficially. So the next year was curiosity. Be curious about people, spend time asking questions, going deeper with people. And so I love that you said that, because it resonates with, what I went through. And now I'm great at not doing that. I'm definitely present. So I want to talk about that for just a moment, if we can kind of retract on that, to talk about some of the questioning that you're asking people these days. And let's kind of break this out between your referral partners and your actual clients, if you don't mind, to give some people some ideas.
Yeah, I'll give you a little background there. So the fiance that actually drove me into the mortgage business, on our first date, we are having dinner, and about 3 hours into dinner, she looks at me with this big smile on her face, and I'm thinking she's about to say, "Hey, let's continue the evening." But instead, she looked at me with a big smile and said, "Would you like to ask me any questions? I know all there is to know about you."
Wow! So you realize,
and up to that point in my life, I was of the mindset that to get other people to like me, I needed to tell them about me or do something.
Yep.
And she taught me the power of a question. And since that time, that's kind of one of my modes that's always rolling in my mind, is how can I like, the greatest compliment you can give me is to tell me that's something no one has ever asked me before.
Right.
And so when you are, being in this business, it's all about relationships, whether it's with financial advisors or real estate agents or your employees. And the best way that you can increase those relationships or deepen those relationships is ask them a really good question. And so what are some questions that I ask? If I'm with, let's say I'm with an agent for the first time, I'll ask them, tell me about an interesting or difficult time early in your life that you think helps create who you are today.
Okay. Yeah, love it.
Usually, we all have been through something in our life that is very personal.
Yes.
Taken us from where we are to where we are today, from where we were to where we are today, whether it's in their career or personally. And so I'll reframe that to a real estate agent and say, so tell me about an interesting or difficult time early in your career that you think helped shape you today. I'll ask you that, Jen, right now. What's an interesting or difficult time early in your career that you think, either in your podcast career or in your mortgage career, coaching career, what's an interesting or difficult time that created who you are today?
Yeah, well, and I first of all, I love the question, and I know that people that have been listening to this podcast for a long time know all things about me.
Okay.
Everything about me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's several actually, and hence the reason I'm starting a new podcast here in a couple days. Called Breaking Through Glass Ceilings, because we're always breaking through these. We always have difficult times. But for me, I went through, being in the business for 35 years, being a woman, I really created a path for women in this industry. And so my biggest challenges were being overlooked for, promotions and whatnot, and being the token woman in the good old boy club of banking and mortgages, right? And so I decided, that I'm going to prove my worth through proving how much better I can be at an originator at that time, right? An originator at that time, so that I could then subsequently become a branch manager, a division regional manager, and I don't know, I think it was branch and district and region, and then a divisional manager. And so I led with what I can do, right? And it made me one of the best tacticians in our industry. I know numbers inside out and backwards and sideways, and I can run them by hand. I don't have to rely on a computer unless I want to rely, and I usually do these days. But the ability to be able to be a tactician in this industry is huge. And so that had made me, to the point where I could do over $1 billion in funding.
Wow. Well, congratulations. That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. But see, those questions, they're fantastic. Fantastic question. Very good. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, whether you're, that's the one question I ask everyone when I interview someone is, and about 50% of the time, tears come out. Oh. If I get tears from someone that I'm interviewing about a job, whether it's a divorce or tough time as a kid, and there's a connection there. But another set of questions that I ask, whether let's say if it's a client and I think that they might be shopping me, or they talk to me about, is this your best rate? And, I get a sense that they're shopping. And I will always ask them, hey, so I'm curious, what are one or two things that you're looking for in the lender that you decide to go with? Obviously, anyways. And so whatever they say, usually what you're doing there is you're helping set the expectation of what they expect from you, right? Yeah. So when you ask someone, what are they looking for in a good lender, Jim, what do you think they're going to say?
Rates.
Good rate. Yeah. When someone says, oh, I'm looking for a good rate. Great. What's a good rate for you today? Yeah. They're going to tell you, oh, well, I just got a guy quoting 3.5%. Okay, great. 3.5%. What else besides rate and fees are important to you about the lender you choose? Most people are going to say, communication. Got it. Communication. When you say communication, what do you mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's communicate? What do you mean? What does it mean for you? Well, I just want to be updated every week. So anyways, just understanding what their style of communication is. So, and then you can finish it up with what's one thing you absolutely won't stand for with your lender, right? Yeah. And that would turn you off. So, and you can use that same technique with real estate agents. You can use the same technique if you're dating. Hey, what's one or two things that you're looking for in this person you marry? And so what you're doing is you're setting the expectation for what you have to live up to, whether it's an employee or a spouse or anyone else. What makes us happy in life is when we know what the expectation is and we live up to it. Yeah. Right? We have a blueprint we expect our life to look like. And when that's out of line, we're not happy. Same thing as with people. We can understand what their blueprint is of us, then we have a better chance of meeting that blueprint. So I love that. Yeah, I love that. I want to just add another aspect to that is a question that I've always asked my clients is, tell me about, is this your first buying experience or not, right? And if it isn't, tell me about the experience that you had with the last loan you got. That's a great question.
And rather than, hey, was the experience good? Because you don't want closed-end questions, obviously. You want open-end, right? But tell me about the last experience that you had with, the experience you had with the last lender. And it's amazing because that opens up the doors and it aligns with what you're saying too, with the expectations. They say, well, all they did was text me. Right? Wow. Okay. Now I know. Don't just text. Right? Okay, yeah. Right. And so it kind of opens up those
text messages. Yeah.
Right. Or, they didn't show up at closing. Note to self. If I can't make it, someone needs to go to the closing table, right? So I think that that just kind of brought up that kind of thing that also opens up the doors. But I love those two questions; those are fantastic, and I imagine that has helped you with your conversion ratio in all aspects. You know, conversion ratio in getting and having clients now work with you, but also the conversion ratio in having real estate agents and other referral partners work for you as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as loan officers, you know, when we were in the business, the one thing that we don't want is we don't want upset clients.
Right.
And the valuable takeaway today is to understand that if you're going to do any amount of business, you're going to have clients that are going to get upset, right? And so understanding how to handle those situations with clients, and then understanding that anytime clients get upset, it doesn't mean that you're not doing a great job. It means they're misinterpreting something that's happening. It gives you an opportunity to connect with them and ask a good set of questions about tell me what happened and what else happened. Oh, okay, interesting, okay. And you're really understanding from their point of view what's happened, because the only thing they want is someone to listen to them. And usually a relationship is going to be better as a result of y'all having that conversation about something that's happening and when they're really pissed off. So I look for opportunities with my other loan officers and people on my team. I said, if there's ever someone that's not happy, let me talk to them.
Yeah.
And have someone else listen to the conversation, and usually that relationship's going to be so much better.
Yeah, so, I love that. And, you know, and today, customer service is not the word. You know, it's a customer experience. Service is gone. Nobody cares about it. It's about the experience that the client has with you. And whenever you run into someone, you know, to your example, whenever you run into someone who is not happy during the process, it's a perfect opportunity to do course correction. And I think what a lot of loan officers do is just try to avoid it, and, oh, they're mad, and so I'll just try to stay away and I'll hide behind keyboard confidence, right? Just email, just text them. I won't talk to them, right? And then at the end say, oh, can you write me a review? I think you'll get better reviews and better results if you can do course correction and do exactly what you're saying to do.
Yes, totally. Yeah, and when you have upset clients, it's responding by email. If I even sense that they're upset, I don't text, I don't email, I pick up the phone and I just say, hey, it feels like you might be upset. Not you're upset, because if I say to you, Jen, you're upset,
I understand you're upset. Oh yes, I am.
It's just, it feels like you might be upset, right? Because when you tell someone they are a certain way, like if you tell your spouse, it seems like you're upset. They're like, I'm not upset. Right? It's the first thing they say. When you say, it feels like I might have said something that have offended you. Can we just talk about that, right? I love what my wife says. She says, hey, I have a request. That means I've done something wrong. She knows better than to say, hey, let me tell you what you've done wrong, because none of us want to know what we're doing wrong. But if you say, hey, man, I have a request, or you say, hey, man, I see something that's going on. Do you mind if I share it with you? I just want to give you just some feedback if you're open to it. It's just asking for permission to give them some feedback. So
I love that. And, you know, and it reminds me of another tactic. This is so cool. I love that we're going back and forth, because it reminds me of another tactic, you know. And so in my PLP, which is, you know, there's 71 different tasks that get done during a purchase transaction in my PLP. It's just aside from, you know, click on this button, download a document, upload. I don't care about that. I'm talking about tactical things that are done that are marketing related, as well as getting the loan through smoothly. And one of the things that are in there, you know, when you have a perfect loan process, truly, when it's just ironclad, the disconnect will happen with your clients because it's so good. There's really no need to talk to your clients. And we got to the point where I went to a closing and sat in the waiting area with my client, not realizing it was my client. Right?
Wow.
And not until the wife came in and she said, blah, 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 that I was like, oh, hey, because I remembered her, but I didn't remember him. And I used to meet everybody face to face. And I felt like an idiot. And I thought that will never happen again. We left the closing. They were fine. I made a joke out of it, but we left the closing. I called my team and I go, add right now at this point in my PLP, call borrower and say hello, right? Cool. And so that became a course correction for us. I didn't care if things were going good or not. They were getting that phone call, and that phone call goes like this. Hey, Heath, it's Jen. Listen, the reason I'm calling is I just want to find out how you're feeling. What's keeping you up at night? What's going right? Is my team treating you fairly? Are you getting responsive? I asked all these questions, even if everything was smooth, because I wanted to know what they were holding back. Because a lot of people in client experience, even if they're happy, they won't tell a ton of people. And if they're sad and not happy, sometimes they don't say anything. And I wanted to bring that out. And it was the best thing I've ever done in my business. It truly was, because, well, the reason I'm not sleeping, we can't find a mover done.
Ooh.
Right? I mean, just whatever their issues are, right? And so I love that we're, providing a couple of different solutions for people, but I love that we've taken down this road of curiosity and questioning. Absolutely incredible. And I know that that's what makes you very successful. And anybody who works on your team, I imagine, is going through that wonderful experience as well and learning from you, from your tutelage.
Yeah, totally. It's I open up most meetings with some type of unusual question and have everyone, share it, So
give us an example. Give us an example of a question that your team can.
Tell me about something. Tell me about an unusual habit that you have, or what's something you would like people to ask you that they never ask you.
Yeah.
Tell me about something unusual about yourself that you don't think people know. So things like that. I've got there's a box called Table Topics, and so if you want to have a great dinner party, we have the greatest dinner parties. I don't have any kids, but my wife loves to cook, and I'm the wine guy. But we have a box of questions. It's called Table Topics. And we get done with dinner and we take the box and their questions, and you trade the box and everyone asks everyone a question. And it's just, they're the best dinner parties. Those are the dinner parties that people, say, oh, that was so great. So that's why.
Yeah. You need to make a game out of it. So there is a game like that where you can do those questions, but as you're talking about these questions, yes, you can use them with, your personal relationships, with the relationships with your team or your company, but also as you're networking. Don't forget to use those types of questions, with the realtors that you're working with as well. Yes. And I want to share another thing too. A colleague of mine, in Utah has a company called Connect 52. And what he did, and he's actually been a guest at some of my workshops with my clients and things. And what he does is that he realized that he didn't have a real strong relationship with his family. And so he started sending emails to them every week asking a question. And so for 52 weeks out of the year, Connect 52, he asked questions to his entire family. What is the proudest moment in your life? To his dad, to his sister, things that they, he thinks were proud. What was your favorite job? What was your favorite toy? And the one story I remember is that his brother said that his favorite toy was Craig. He said, my favorite toy was Craig. And he thought, well, that's kind of weird. But as his brother explained it, he realized that everything he remembers about being a child and having and carrying a toy with him was his brother being with him, right? Wow. And Craig was so young that he didn't quite remember it, right? And so it's very, very powerful. And what he ended up doing was making a book out of it that he created and gifted to his family about everything in their family's lives. So think about this in this context. Here we are in 2020, and again, everybody's talking about the 2020 vision. I've been talking about the soaring 20s, that this next 10 years are going to be absolutely incredible. And taking 52 questions that across the whole year to ask your realtor colleagues and friends. What if you FaceTimed it, right? Or if not FaceTimed, but put it up Facebook Live. So this week's question for everybody is this: what do I want to know about everybody, to keep those connections going? And so I just love what you're talking about. I love this curiosity, the depth of it. And it's a big challenge for lenders because I hear it all the time. I just want deeper relationships.
Yeah.
So everybody listening, this is your gift. This is your gift of deeper relationships that Heath is bringing to the forefront for us here today.
Yeah, and even doing those Connect 52 with your agent or referral partners as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Wouldn't that be awesome to learn about that? Right?
Yes, totally.
And it's funny. You think I don't have 52 questions. I'm going to give you all a challenge. I didn't think I did either. And I started writing them down, and I ended up having like 8 pages of questions. I'm one of 37 first cousins. There are 5 brothers and 5 sisters. My mom's one of the sisters. And I am now interviewing them. And now that we're in, as we're recording this, we're hunkered down. Guess what I've been doing? Using this time to reach out to them, make sure they're happy. Yeah. We played Heads Up online the other day with all the cousins. Yeah, no, it's a cute game, but we did it all online via Zoom and everything. And we connected, but now I'm connecting with my 92-year-old, the eldest uncle, all the way down to the youngest one who's 71. Wow. And yes, a ton of them in a 10-year span. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Or a 20-year span. And asking them all these questions so that when they pass away, we have a gift. Mm-hmm. We have a gift that we can give to one another, right? And creating a book that answers all those questions. And for those that passed away, like my mom, what do you remember most about my mom? What do you wish you could say to mom if she were here? Those types of questions, so we can bring them in as well. So, this is a time of connecting, with everybody. This year is going to be like that. And these tools are just fantastic. And Heath, I've taken nuggets from this. I can't wait to incorporate these additional questions into, the questioning that I do with people. So I want to just say thank you so much for sharing this wonderful, wonderful gift that you've given us today.
Yeah. Can I just leave you with one?
Oh, you're going to leave me with a bunch of stuff, but yeah, go ahead.
One other thing, I think people, whenever they're going through a difficult time, I think they forget that questions not only connect you with people, but they connect you with yourself. They also get you out of a difficult time. And so usually when we're going through a difficult time, we're just asking ourselves the wrong set of questions, like, why is this happening to me? Why does this keep happening? What else could I do? When we should be asking ourselves a different set of questions. Like whenever something bad happens, I always say to myself, what's great about this?
Yeah.
Last week, my company said, we are suspending jumbo loans.
Right.
50% of my business is what?
Jumbo
loans. I immediately said to myself, what's great about this?
Yeah.
And I started writing down the answer. Well, I don't have any more problem deals.
That's right. I don't have to look up guidelines all over the place.
I can reshape my team. So I have a series of questions that I ask myself when I'm going through a difficult situation. It's, what's great about this? What can I learn from it? What's not perfect yet, right? What does that presuppose?
Yeah, I love that.
It will be perfect. What am I willing to do to make it the way I want it?
Yeah.
What am I not willing to do? Like, I'm not willing to work 24 hours a day. And how can I enjoy this process? Like, sometimes we don't like prospecting, or we don't like something that we're doing. All we have to do is change it. Like, how can you make it fun? You could turn on your music and jump up and down, or do what you like. But it's just those set of questions help me get out of some of the most difficult times. And they helped me get out of this week when I was like, I'm not going to do jumbo. What's great about it? So anyways, I'll leave you
I call that you can be bitter or you can be better. Your choice.
I love that quote.
Right? You can choose to be bitter about it, or you can go out and be better. And that's exact. And in this industry, we have to expect that every single day.
Totally.
Every single day that we're working with that. I love that. Yeah. And it's really good. Yesterday I had the wonderful opportunity of interviewing Jeff Hoffman, who is co-founder of Priceline and created and invented all kiosks that including the ones that are in the airports and stuff. So invented it when he was 26 years old. He's now 62, 63. And so imagine how long these kiosks have been out there. ATMs. boom, 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 right? And he's getting royalties on and he said, I live by the token of 4 words. And he said, there is no they. There is no they. And when things go bad, you say, I wish they would fix the pricing. I wish they would do this. I wish they would fix that pothole. I wish they would stop doing that, right? Instead, turning that around and saying, what do I need to do to enact change?
Yes. It's a great question.
It is. Yeah. And it's great.
That, right? You're such a victim when it's they. There's nothing you can do about it, right?
Yep.
We can do something about everything. I love that.
And that's how the kiosk started. He was in line and he was going, this takes too long. This takes too long. What is their problem? They should do this. They should do that. And he realized all they do is look at your ID and print a piece of paper.
Yes.
And so I said, okay, what can I do? Because there is no they. They're not going to do anything about it, but I can. Right. And so I love that you're saying that too. That's a huge message for people in all aspects of life.
Yes.
Not just in this business. So, well, it's been an absolute pleasure. I want to leave by asking you a couple of questions. What is a quote that you use as a mantra for yourself, if you have one?
I have a quote that is by Theodore Roosevelt called "Daring Greatly," and it is. Well, it's kind of a longer quote. Is it okay?
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
Is that all right?
I'll put the link to the quote in here.
Yes, daring greatly, and it says, "It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives violently, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotion, who spends himself into a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly." So,
absolutely love that. And the encapsulation of that is get in the game.
Yes.
Get in the game. You're going to fail, but you're going to win on the other side. It's the law of polarity, right? If you fail, you're really winning. I promise.
Totally.
I love that. And so what books are you reading these days? What's inspiring you right now?
Well, right now I am reading by Ryan Holiday called The Obstacle is the Way.
Okay.
Which is a constant reminder. I actually am in the middle of hiring a new assistant, and Michael Wyatt wrote a book called Your World-Class Assistant, which has a lot of great ideas. And a book that I'm giving to real estate agents right now is Never Split the Difference by Chris.
Oh, I love that. It's about win-win. Yeah.
Yes. It gives you a lot of great techniques. And then I'll leave you with one other one that I'm rereading right now called Crucial Conversations. We're in a conversation all the time, and it really helps you understand how to have difficult conversations. And I get a lot of compliments on this book. Whenever my coaching students read this, they're always very thankful. But it really helps you understand how to approach a difficult conversation with someone. Most of us avoid them, and that just makes life work. That just makes the relationship worse. So anyways.
I call those adult conversations.
That's too many
it's
books.
Time to have an adult conversation with somebody, right?
Right.
Absolutely. I absolutely love it. And Heath, I just want to express, my gratitude in you sharing and being able to give us a little taste of your secret sauce and what's made you extremely successful. It's very obvious that you do things different. It's not all about doing the actual loan, but really moving people forward and making them feel better about themselves and making them feel very comfortable working with you and that they mean something. And I just want to say thank you and congratulations for the success that you've had in your business.
Yes, thank you, Jen. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your podcast. I hope everyone got at least one nugget they could take away.
I guarantee it. Told you it would happen. Yes. Guarantee it. Yes. Everybody, I want to say thank you again for listening to Mortgage Lending Mastery, and remind you, please go to Facebook and join our Facebook group, Mortgage Lending Mastery, because we have some behind the podcast scenes and behind the podcast conversations that we want to continue this particular conversation with Heath over time. So thank you again for joining us, and go out and make it a great day. We will catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to Mortgage Lending Mastery. Looking to streamline and launch your practice by accessing Jen's tools, courses, classes, presentations, and resources? Visit jenduplessis.com to learn about the features and benefits thousands of other professionals have experienced by enrolling in Jen's lifetime membership program. Isn't it about time you consider a coach to take your business to new heights? Contact Jen to start your application process today. Thanks again, and be sure to tune in next week.